Oh, we are headed into Easter weekend, and nothing better to celebrate egg hunts than trying to figure out who in Trump's cabinet is going to cut bait and run. Because we have us, in this breaking story, a good old-fashioned catfight going on in the White House cabinet. And amongst that is Scott Bessent, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, who's been trying to pretend he's backing Trump. But as you'll see in this breaking story, maybe not so much. And before I show that to you in a few seconds, take a quick listen to what Bessent is trying to sell of what Trump's doing, and yet you just can't quite get there. Take a look.
And we saw the successful negotiating strategy that President Trump implemented a week ago today to stay the course until this moment. And what we have ended up with here, do not retaliate, and you will be rewarded.
Welcome back. Breaking this morning, China says it will impose an 84% tariff on U.S. goods. Joining me now is U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Give us your reaction to more escalation coming out of China.
Well, Maria, I think it's unfortunate that the Chinese actually don't want to come and negotiate because they are the worst offenders in the international trading system. And, I can tell you that this escalation is a loser for them.
Really, Scott? You're trying to sell us that China is scared? No, they aren't. And Scott even goes one step further in the Oval Office just yesterday, trying to talk about how the Ukrainian mineral deal is coming together. But oddly, once again, no details. Take a listen.
I don't know exactly. I'm going to leave that to Scott. What do you think? Where would it be signed and when?
Yeah, we're still working on the details. We're shooting for around April 26th.
Is there any more details that you could tell us about what's in that deal and how it came together?
It's substantially what we agreed on previously.
And then there's the truth and the basis of this breaking story in that Bessent really isn't buying what Trump is selling.
I did a 90-day pause.
President Donald Trump's decision this week to put a 90-day pause on his tariff plan for basically the rest of the world was following advice from Treasury Secretary Bessent. But the fact that the president decided to back off was a result of, at least in part, of Secretary Bessent's advice, and a sign that Bessent is rising, at least within the president's trade team. I was told by a White House official that the Treasury Secretary was pushing for lower tariff rates before the president made his decision last Wednesday. But then after the president made that decision, that he and the rest of the team were supportive of it. But he flew down to Mar-a-Lago, to Florida, over the weekend and had a meeting with the president where he emphasized the need to talk more about the willingness to make deals with the other countries. And then the president's decision on Wednesday followed that emphasis on making deals.
We are willing to hear you.
So in this breaking story, this is what happens to these folks is they get out of the situation with Trump. They have to go back in the private sector. And based on their history or their credibility, if they have screwed themselves, they can't get the job they want. So this breaking story just goes to show Scott Bessent may not be around for much longer. Take a listen. Breaking news, cut and run. Top Trump official reportedly eyes exit as civil war engulfs cabinet. President Donald Trump's pre-dawn post shook investors' confidence on Thursday as he railed against the chairman of the Federal Reserve and called for his termination. Hours later, the White House insisted the president was not suggesting he would be firing Jerome Powell, whom he installed during his first term. But the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, reportedly is urging caution. In quotes, the ECB is expected to cut interest rates for the seventh time, and yet too late, Jerome Powell of the Fed, who is always too late and wrong, yesterday issued a report which was another and typical complete mess, Trump exclaimed. In quotes, Powell's termination cannot come fast enough, Trump concluded. The White House quickly jumped in quotes, a White House official tells me today that post should not be seen as a threat to fire Powell, reported CNBC's Megan Casella. It's more of an airing or re-airing of grievances and frustrations with the central bank chair, and the president is looking forward to the scheduled end of Powell's term. Journalist and author Charles Fishman called Trump's post a frontal attack on Jay Powell, chairman of the Federal Reserve, whose independence is enshrined in law and who is one of the few forces holding the U.S. economy together in the face of White House tariff chaos. In quotes, Trump can't fire Powell, but is shouting like he might try, Fishman writes. Trump may try, but some say he may need help from the U.S. Supreme Court. Meanwhile, barely 2 weeks ago, reports stated Bessent was thinking of quitting. In quotes, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent may be planning to cut and run after Donald Trump's disastrous reciprocal tariff announcement earlier this week, The New Republic reported. During an appearance on MSNBC's Morning Joe Friday, contributor Stephanie Rule reported that the key cabinet member is already looking for the escape hatch. In quotes, my sources say that Scott Bessent is the kind of odd man out here, and in the inner circle that Trump has, he's not even close to Scott Bessent or listening to him, Rule said. TNR reported. Some have said to me he's looking for an exit door to try to get himself to the Fed because in the last few days he's really hurting his own credibility and history in the markets. Last week, things apparently got more heated. In quotes, Wall Street prizes stability, which is why Trump's shambolic tariff rollout has wiped out trillions of dollars of market value. Vanity Fair reported last week. Executives say the on-again, off-again tariffs are evidence of civil war engulfing Trump's economic policy team. According to the sources close to the White House, Trump Secretary Scott Bessent and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick have been at odds over a tariff plan, with Bessent urging discipline and Lutnick encouraging Trump to go big. The real war is between Howard and Scott, one of the sources said. Adding some insight, Politico notes that Bessent's private message reinforces what President Donald Trump already knows, but comes as the president's anger with the Fed chair is growing because Powell hasn't shown signs that he will cut interest rates soon. It also comes against the backdrop of widespread market turmoil over the administration's far-reaching trade war. Not only has Powell not cut interest rates, which he historically has been very cautious on doing, but CNN Business reported Thursday afternoon that mortgage rates just saw the largest one-week jump over a year and are now have climbed to the highest level in 2 months as Trump's tariffs continue to rock markets. Responding to Politico's report, hedge fund founder and chief investment officer Spencer Hekamayan writes, Bessent hating his new job of being full-time babysitter, just cleaning up Trump, Lutnick, and Navarro, etc. diaper all day long. There's not much else to say, because when you lie with dogs, you're very likely to get fleas. So as we go into this weekend, if it is applicable to you, have a wonderful Easter weekend. Stay frosty, and we'll see you soon.